Welcome to School's Out 80s Comedy Story Time.
Hey everybody, welcome to School's Out 80s Comedy Story Time. Got another really excellent episode for you this month, coming to you all the way from Dallas, Texas. A very good rock and roll drummer, Mr. Paul Brown. Say hello to everybody at School's Out 80s.
Hello to the masses out there. How's it going, guys?
There you go. There you go. We're playing to the masses. We're playing to the back rows. We're playing to everybody in the cheap seats. Everybody, get heed. We want you to have fun and have a listen and hopefully chuckle a little bit. So, Paul, the show's all about the 80s, 90s, fun things we did, funny things we did. Can you think of some stories, like take yourself back to like freshman year in high school as an example? Can you think of anything funny that happened to you like your freshman year in high school that you might want to share?
Oh, geez. Oh, man. In freshman, well, since I was a musician my whole life, I was always in the music vein. So I just couldn't find a band to play with. Just always trying to find musicians. So me and one of my best friends, we just started jamming together. He was on guitar and I was on drums and stuff like that. And he was one of the cool kids, man. And for some reason, I was always the cool, kind of quiet kid and stuff like that. And just, didn't want to push it, wanted to be cool, but didn't. But I had my own identity as a drummer and whatnot. But before we went into ninth grade, my friend was, because he was with the popular kids, was like, all right, well, you got it. If you want to be cool, you're going to have to shave your head. Period.
Oh my God.
He was like, no, man, trust me, I'm going to make you look cool. And he pulled out some flippers.
Oh,
and he was like, trust me, this is what you need to do. He was like, okay. And I was kind of a chusky boy back then too. And he's like, all right, take your shirt off. I was like, why? He was like, we got, you have to tape your chest down because your chest is too big, And I was like, okay, all right. So he puts tape over my pecs, both of them, tries to tape them down, puts the shirt back on me, puts a towel over me, and my long hair that was down, past my chin, he just proceeds to straight off, man, and pretty much buzzed me. And he's like, you gotta look cool. And then I found out years later, he was like, dude, we were literally just messing with you. And I was like, oh man, you know what I mean? It's like, okay.
Oh no.
I know. I was that desperate. I wanted to be cool and hang with the cool kids. But I shaved my hair. They kind of pitied me though after that and let me hang around with them a little bit, so it was okay. And I had it happens, man. That was before freshman year even started, man. So
yeah,
I was ready to go in looking like a long hair rocker, and it seems that I turned into looking like a porcupine head. It was quite funny.
Oh, man, that's wild, because like we're not doing this on video right now, so I'll be flashing pictures of you, but like you had, prior to that, like you had really long hair. Like I want people to picture like Randy Rhoads kind of long blonde hair. And
we try to have the flowing locks. That's rockers.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. But man, that's horrible they did that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the price you got to pay to think you're cool, man. Again, I think everyone just pitied me, and because I was such a nice guy. I'm just a nice guy through and through, that they kind of just let me hang with them anyway. So I guess it was all worth it in the end.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. So they just made you like acclimate to their group, and they wanted you to have, and they were just jacking with you. That's
Yeah, well, well, I was half jock, half rock.
yeah.
So
Okay.
I still did both. I was a football player and a musician first couple years of high school, and I kind of just let the long hair take over and finish it out as a musician. And I'm still in that phase.
No
Sometimes
worries.
I haven't even graduated.
All good, all good. And okay, so any other, like when you're thinking back to high school, can you think about any events specific, Paul, that you might be able to bring up that might be something funny happened possibly?
Gosh, let me think.
Like any
Oh,
parties maybe you went to, or maybe any concerts you went to, or any gigs that you played, and something strange happened, funny happened. No, no worries.
oh man, there's so many, or there's so many. It's funny. It kind of gets like Groundhog Day because all I did was play rock and roll like 24/7. Because I was already gigging. By the time I was about 13, 14 years old, I was slamming pretty steady in the clubs and stuff like that with my dad. It was weird. My dad was my guitar player.
Okay.
So it was interesting. It was like I had the party life sort of at home, but at
Uh-huh.
the same time, because he was a musician, we didn't get too crazy, but I still was able to go out and I don't know. I guess I sold my wild oats through a band, and when your dad's the guitar player with you, what do you do? But we would
That's
keep it
pretty
pretty.
cool.
Yeah, we'd keep it pretty chill at home and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and kind of keep everything somewhat assimilated normally, but then we can get out and we get out in the clubs and everything just started rocking, man. It just
Absolutely.
let me think. I know, because in senior year, man, I went to at least 20 concerts.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
man.
What was your
Oh
best
man.
concert, do you think, your senior year?
My senior year, okay. Within 2 weeks of one another, I was able to see Alice Cooper, and then I
Uh,
went to a little local. They were for 97 won the Eagle. We
uh-huh.
went to the Freakers Ball at Starplex, and
Nice.
man, within 2 weeks, literally the drummers in the bands both changed my lives, man. Eric
Oh,
Singer
wow.
was Eric Singer from Kiss was playing drums, and Alice Cooper,
Oh, okay.
and hmm and then Morgan Rose from Seven Dust was playing drums on with that day with Seven Dust, and so it was funny. The funny part of it is I got all these tickets for free,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, I got all the because the special ed teacher at
Yeah.
my high school, he was the booking agent for the Bronco Bowl. And if anyone remembers the Bronco Bowl in Dallas, Texas, you know, so he would give me free tickets to every single concert that came through. And so I literally saw maybe 25 concerts my senior year in high school. I saw so many bands, and we got to get backstage and meet them and stuff like that. Let's see,
Oh,
saw
man,
Alice.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, nearly every band you could think of my senior year. We saw Alice, Cooper, Dokken, Warrant, Lynch Mob, Queensryche, Dio, Sebastian Bach, all these guys coming through and literally just burning the house down. It was so cool, man.
Oh, so did you get backstage? Did you meet Ronnie James Dio?
No, I wish I'd got the chance to meet Ronnie James Dio, but I did
Mhm.
get backstage and meet Alice Cooper real quick. He actually,
Oh, wow.
my buddy who walked us back there, he got to let us, at least shake the hand of the man. So it
Okay.
was quite an interesting, pretty fun night, man. If anybody remembers, at least in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the Bronco Bowl, that was a pretty cool concert venue.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember when they got rid of the Bronco Bowl because I moved to Dallas like 32 years ago, but I think it was
Mhm.
still around when I moved to Dallas in '89.
Yeah, man, it still was. Now it's a Home Depot. It's a parking lot for a Home Depot.
All righty then.
Funny how things change over the years, man. More of corporate America taking over.
There you go. There you go. So
So
your school teacher, the special ed teacher that got all the concert tickets for you, where is he still a promoter?
no, after that, I kind of lost touch with him. He just kind of swooped in like this magic rock and roll genie my senior year of high school, and after the year ended, I just kind of never talked to him again. I think he went home or something like that, wherever he was from, and he never came back. So it was like this
Oh no.
magical, everyone remembers, no matter what year you went to high school, everyone
Yeah.
remembers, everyone remembers that special senior year.
Heck yeah.
It seemed like high school got really cool the last year, and then we graduated.
Right, right. So,
Now
we need to
I don't want to leave.
we need to stalk that guy, Paul, and get some free tickets.
Yeah, I'd like to know where he went, man.
Telling
Luckily these days I'm still just hanging in the industry, but yeah, man, God, I miss high school. It was fun, man. It was a tough decision to leave football going into rock and roll, because I thought everyone thinks they have it in them for a little while, but by the time I just got, once I got through 9th and 10th grade year of playing football, man, people were just hitting harder. We're getting bigger. And the pack, people were starting to pull away from the pack, and I just wasn't one of them. I was good enough to play, but I wasn't good enough to stay, supposedly.
all good, man. All good. I mean, hell, if you would have hurt your hands, you couldn't be the drummer you are today.
Well, that's true too. It's something to sort of consider whenever you're getting out there slamming your bodies into one another. God knows how actually fast we're going.
Right, right. That's awesome.
Yep.
I played some football in high school too. We had some pretty good like parties and stuff like after the football game. Can you remember going to some parties after the football games and hanging out with everybody?
Man, seemed like everyone just wanted to get wild and crazy, afterwards, for the most part.
Right.
I remember one time, and probably a lot of people, this will bring back memories. We're all 18, we're 17, we're staying in the house, doing our thing, being as safe as we possibly can, and stuff like that. We're at least trying to all be responsible. There's about 20 or 30 of us, and that was a huge party back then. Having that many people over there, so everyone's in there drinking and smoking and stuff like that. And literally, we were in there, and everyone, smoking. All of a sudden, someone runs in. The cops are here, and sure enough, everyone just bolts out the windows, running out the side doors. One of my friends, before everyone ran out, he was looking for some green earth. Basically, he went to everyone and said,
"So he was an herbalist," is what you're telling me?
Yes. So he went around to everybody, and he just told them, "Here, hand it all to me, and I'll hold it. I know where to put it. I can hold it. Everyone just give it to me."
Okay.
And so everyone just threw it to him. They didn't want to have anything on him, and everyone just darted out the doors. He ran out the back door too, jumped about 3 or 4 cars, walked around, let the cops leave once they came in, and they searched the party and stuff. But once they came in and searched and left, and all the underage minors split, he just slowly walked back around, and I drove. Something told me to get in the car and drive around the corner. And I got around the corner, picked him up, and we went back to his house, and he was loaded.
I see. Oh man, you guys dodged a little bit of a bullet there. It sounds like that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was quite an experience. So I don't know. I don't know if we should share that one though.
Oh, no, it's all good. It's all good. No worries. I'll tell you, I was at a high school party, and the cops came, and the kid that was having the party, because that's who they always want to talk to, is the owner's. Who owns this house? Who owns this house? So the kid comes out. Obviously, he wasn't the owner, but he was the owner's son.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, Paul, he did exactly, kids, if you're listening to this is what you don't do if the police come to bust your party up. He walks out. I witnessed the whole thing. He walks out with a Budweiser can in his hand.
That was smart.
Yes. And he's a minor. And he goes, "What seems to be the problem, officer?" I mean, that's exactly what he said. And I kid you not, the cop had him handcuffed in about 5 seconds, and up against the patrol car. So again, kids, don't try this at home. Be respectful, and don't walk outside with a full beer when you're under the age.
Yeah, don't be silly out there. Yeah,
yes.
Things have just changed since back then. It seemed like back then people were more cool if you were being responsible, and nowadays there's just no wiggle room. It seems like.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So you named a bunch of bands that were really big on MTV in the 80s and also in the 90s. So were you and your friends, were you guys big watchers of MTV back in the day?
Man, yes, I am from the generation where MTV is still actual music. When I was really watching MTV, it seemed like it was going strong, but they were starting to transition over to all the sitcoms and stuff like that, reality programs and stuff like that.
Right.
So, man, but that was the longest. That was my morning. Once I hit about 6th grade, it seemed like MTV every morning was a must. I would turn it on as I'm eating breakfast, and Aerosmith would be on the countdown, stuff like that. Just they would play Guns N' Roses. They would play. It seemed like, I don't know, maybe that was finally the big pinnacle peak of MTV, about the early 90s, and they started going down slowly and changing formats. It's
no, you're right. I mean, did you guys used to have like parties where you just like sit around and watch MTV the whole time?
Our big thing was taping everything on MTV. Remember the days of having to have a VCR ready?
Oh yeah, sure.
Really? That was our big thing. That was like my hobby almost, was making sure I recorded enough rock videos to fill up videotapes. And then I would just sit there and just watch them all back to back and stuff like that. And mine was pretty much metal and rock videos and stuff like that. I was into anything. Then I would even turn it on regular TV and try to catch performances and stuff like that. But MTV used to be the actual king of, I don't know, felt like all exposure, but I guess everything just shifted, The
way I would see MTV is like there was a time period, and you could probably relate to this, where particularly in the 70s, you had to be like really good to make an album.
Yep.
And MTV kind of opened the door to, you had to be good looking to make an album.
Mm-hmm. That's the image changed everything. It was just a whole new avenue that came about from all that and stuff like that. It just, I don't know, man. It's kind of a era gone past. There was a time when it seemed like radio was king, and then once MTV hit, it just all turned into a whole new image thing. Then you had bands from the 70s who were considered dinosaur rock, doing everything they could to update themselves into the 80s, and it just looked pathetic on some of them.
Right.
But the funny thing is, I'd have been right there with them on MTV too if I could have been.
Oh yeah, heck yeah! No, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm gonna say some of the bands that were like at that point, Dinosaur Rock, because this was before Kiss came back. Kiss would have been one of those bands that they were
Yeah.
trying to look like Bon Jovi, but Kiss.
They literally had to. I've read somewhere that they had to call in favors in order to get that MTV interview where they unmasked themselves, and they were down to like their last pennies and stuff like that. So they really, yeah, they had to do everything they possibly could to get on there. But lucky for them, it seemed to work. You know, they'd taken the makeup off, breathed new life into the band, and they soldiered on all the way up until the reunion tour. You know, because Headbangers Ball was always my big show that I watched.
Sure.
You know, that was always, you know, every Saturday night. You know, I was real young, so it was real influential on me. I would just sit there and watch. I was always watching it right from mainly the late 80s into the early 90s, when you still saw a good mix of kind of hair bands that toughened up their image, and then some of the metal bands were coming on and stuff like that. So that was my big thing. It was just making sure I could record all videos that came on. You know, it was just the big thing to do back then.
Absolutely. So Paul, you were already gigging. So like, as you're watching MTV and you're watching Headbangers Ball, are you sitting there thinking to yourself, like, I could use this in a show? Like, I'm taking
notes like it's science class, baby.
I love it.
You know, you got to make it's a good rock you. What is it? What's a good word for it? Rock education.
Yes.
Stuff like that. It was really good to sit there and kind of learn how to do it. That's pretty much where I learned I don't know why. I just felt I had to know every song that came on there, and just watched it over and over and over, you know, and just kind of lock it in and see what happens.
No, man, that's awesome. I mean, that's lost on our youth. Like, our youth expect to magically be talented at something, and they don't realize that a lot of the methodology is out there, and they just got to study it and reproduce it and, you know, make it their own, so to speak. But like, you hear about a lot of really famous rock stars. I'll bring up Ace Frehley as an example, where I do a lot of concerts, and while everybody else is watching the concert, he's watching the guitar player. And he's watching the licks that the guitar player is doing, and then he's going home that night and he's going to learn those, and he's going to duplicate them.
I know. Ace will watch you just say, "Hey, what's going on? This is Ace Frehley. I gotta watch this. This is my solo."
Oh, that sounds just like him. He's hilarious, man.
I like Ace.
I haven't met him, but he's a very silent guy when you meet him, unless you're.
Well, he was kind of buzzed back then. You know, he would sit there and we watched the Tom Snyder interview the other day and stuff like that. He's just cackling up. He's like, "No, he's not a bass player. He's the trout player."
Right.
Oh, we were dying, man. It was funny. Paul and Gene were pretty uptight on that one. It was kind of funny. Paul's just over there trying to make it all sweet and be, you know, everything's cool and say the cool right things, and then Ace comes on, just cackling. It was greatness. Peter's got these the giant green angel wings on, and he finally took them off about 60 seconds into the interview. Gene is just stone faced over there, just. But it was great, man. You know, it's great to see the rock stars coming out. You know, you learn from their playing and their image. You get to take it home and, you know, mix it all together and see what happens.
Absolutely. I know normally I try to make this as funny as possible, but based upon like your musical background and stuff, I wanted to talk about like some specific icons of the music industry. And one in particular I wanted to bring up was like Randy Rhoads. You know, there's a documentary out right now, and you'd mentioned prior that you're gonna watch it. But man, Randy Rhoads, that guy was a genius on a guitar.
It was, and the funny thing is too, him and Eddie, it seems like, from the research I've done and always, paid, I was still pretty young when they were killing it. Him and Eddie were always like neck and neck, seeing who could be more inventive, who could add different notes and stuff like that. Seemed like they drove each other. And, Randy was he was an innovator, as Zach Wilder calls him, Saint Rhoads.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I loved, and kids might not know when we say Randy Rhoads, but he's the guy that plays Crazy Train. So the guitar licks that you like in Crazy Train, that's Randy Rhoads. He died at like 25 years old in a plane accident.
I know. It's scary to think. Who was it? I forgot. One of the lead singers. Oh gosh, I can't remember which one it was. It's at the top of my head, but
no worries. Which band I probably know.
Might be Jeff Scott Soto who said this. It was somebody. Don't quote me on it, but he was on that metal show. And he told a story. I think it was when he was on tour with Rainbow.
Yeah.
That the bus driver of that band had some really weird vibes about him, and they weren't really feeling it. And that bus driver, I think, quit or something like that. But he was the pilot that flew Randy Rhoads' planes.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's true.
And that was really weird. I think he was saying Richie Blackmore said he had a dark presence about him when he would get on the bus or something like that. I don't know if it was premonitions or what, but said that was the same guy that flew the plane. It's just sad that, he was called home so young at 20, I think it was 25 was when he died.
Yeah, I think so. I read Rudy, the bass player for Ozzy, Rudy Zarza.
Yes, Rudy Sarzo. Yes.
Yeah, Zarzo. What a cool guy. And in his book, he says the bus driver was just really high on cocaine.
Yeah.
And the reason why that Randy ends up dying in the whole catastrophe that never had to happen. Like the guy could fly a plane, that wasn't the issue. The guy could land a plane, but he kept on wanting to like swoop down on the bus and scare the hell out of us.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of a person is that, dude? It's like, come on, man. Really?
I know. It's so random. Like, okay, take your little joyride at 1 a.m. or midnight or whatever, but like you don't have to like do like Top Gun and scare the hell out of Ozzy and give him a heart attack.
Oh, and all that went on, and he took such a genius from us,
Oh my God, I know.
It's just crazy too, because I believe Ozzy had already said that he thought Randy was going to continue on and maybe leave the band soon after, because he thought he needed to move on to other projects to accomplish things and stuff. And he said that he felt that Randy always saw heavy metal as just one facet of music he wanted to learn. So who knows what would have happened after that? It's kind of fun to ponder about.
Yeah, well, according to Rudy, because I'm meeting with Ozzy and told him that he wanted to go back to school, in college in particular, and I think he wanted to get his master's in classical music.
God, I know.
That's the kind of guy that he was. I mean, like, he was a musician first and a rock star second or third.
I know. Just to think of what it takes to get a degree in classical like that. Sad thing is, the real world, you can't use it. So let that be on some kids. Get a degree in something else. A degree in music, pretty much, unless you make it, you teach. Those who don't make it, teach.
Right.
or playing tribute bands.
Hey, God bless tribute bands is all I got to say, because
it can be a little mixed bag of good and bad, depending on who's seeing it and who's performing it, I guess.
I'll tell you, I saw you guys the first time at House of Blues, and I'm a huge Kiss fan, because I grew up with Kiss, and you were playing Peter Criss, and Laura surprised me with it. Got us tickets to the House of Blues show or whatever. I think we might have taken one of our kids. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. I don't think we did take any of our kids, but she
No.
just, because I am a huge Kiss fan. And I mean, like when I was a kid, I had all the 8-track tapes. I'm an artist. And so like when I wasn't listening to the music, I was drawing the figures and the scenes and whatever else. And so were my best friends. Like we were doing like charcoal drawings of them and stuff. And I mean, but anyway, so we saw you guys. And as I'm watching you guys, because I had just seen Kiss, I saw the reunion tour, I think. And then I think I saw the farewell tour. And then I saw you guys. And I thought, I feel like tonight I saw 70s Kiss. I didn't think either of those times I saw 70s Kiss, because even at that point, even though they were much younger than they are today, because this was a good 20 years ago when I'm talking about Kiss, they weren't moving around or anything, or, you know, they had all these special effects and stuff, but that was kind of to mask the fact that for the most part, they weren't walking the stage.
Yeah, it's, you know, if you're going to be a tribute band, let's try to do it as close as you can. In that case, and in that particular show, that was when I was performing with Rock and Roll Over, the idea was to bring heavy Kiss, you know what I mean? Just really perform with that vicious energy that you know they had in the 70s and stuff like that. And that was at least the goal. You know, it was trying to be just a real powerful experience, stuff like that. And any tribute band that does that, they need to, you know, do their best to perform it as close and as powerful. You know, as I've always chose basically almost tribute, you know, bands that have power. You know, I don't think you're going to find me in a Seals and Cross tribute band.
Right. I don't think show up for a Seals and Cross tribute.
You know, I stick to the meaty basics, man. You know, tributing bands like Kiss, you know, AC/DC, Aerosmith, Van Halen, and stuff like that. You know, playing Motley Crue, those are my type of tribute bands, and
there you go.
That's probably why everyone really clings on to it a little bit. You know, because it seems like there's nothing memorable. Maybe it's just because we're outside the generational loop now. You know, I don't know what the youth sound is. I don't see any icons rising to the top. Maybe I'm too old. You know, I just don't see any icons rising to the top. And that's why there's still such a hunger for shows of the past, you know, from the 80s, 90s, 70s, stuff like that. It's interesting watching different people, you know, go down this nostalgia trip for the longest. And I just keep wondering, well, in 20, 30 years, who's going to be the tribute artists from these generations?
Oh my God. I know. It's
you know?
Hard to say.
I couldn't even tell you, man. I have no clue who or what, or even what's going to happen. Maybe it's just how this generation gets down. Maybe they just do it in a different way that we all did. Because even though I'm a little bit younger, I consider my generation like the last analog generation, because we were right on the split from everything being so manual into such a digital type of world. You know, I feel like I was the last generation that had a little bit of both. So it's funny seeing how it all works now, and then everyone trying to keep up with technology.
Absolutely. So, hey, I want to talk about like your tribute band work that you've done. So as you've come, you know, to a venue to set up and everything, any good stories from that I need to hear and my audience needs to hear?
Oh God. Oh man. Well, it pretty much, you know, well, let me think. Oh man. It's such a crazy question.
No worries. I'm just sitting there thinking that like you get there and like it's different than what the promoter told you it was going to be, and maybe you don't go on at the right time, or maybe you're opening and you didn't know, or maybe you're closing and you didn't know, or maybe they offered you free alcohol and that wasn't true. I don't know.
Oh, well, one time
Uh-huh.
I remember I was playing a gig, and I had my good buddy, one of my bandmates in another band. I was having him run sound for us.
Okay.
And so we went to, we were supposed to, the venue, I thought, was in another city. So I drove to another city. We drove to Arlington,
Okay.
and we started setting up our PA, starting setting up the drums. And, for some reason, I just happened to get a text from the other bandmates saying what exit they were already exiting, saying we're almost there to set up. And they started saying the street names from Dallas. And I was like, wait a minute. I thought y'all said this was in Arlington. And they were like, no, dude. So we set up half the stage setup at the wrong venue.
No.
Just holding my head in my hand, I hung up the phone and turned around and walked back to my boy, and I was like, I hate to tell you this, but we set up at the wrong venue. We had to tear it all down as fast as we possibly could and get it back. And I told the guy I'd pay him extra money because he was mad and stuff like that. And luckily, we got it back to the other venue in Dallas just in time to set it all straight up and walk straight on stage. And that'll happen to you sometimes.
Man, you dodged a bullet there too. So I want to understand. So as you're setting up, was there bar staff there? Was there a bar manager there?
Yeah. And they all thought that we were just the band that was supposed to play there that night. They have no idea.
That's
they have
just
no
like,
clue.
they're not even questioning it. They're like, apparently they're the band tonight. Wow, you could have played and got paid maybe too.
I know, man. We could have done double duty, but no, they have no clue. Once you're still playing at that level, everything's kind of lather, rinse, and repeat. Everyone just knows to show up at a certain time, goes into the same functions like anything else. And we were just on autopilot, as they say. And yeah. It was funny. I wish someone would have gave me a reminder.
Was it you and the bass player?
No, it was my lead singer.
Oh.
And I don't know if you want me to mention other people.
No, you don't. No, you don't have to. No, it's a good story though.
Yeah, man, it was actually the lead singer of my other band. So, yeah, man. So it was pretty interesting. Ooh, there's some thunder outside.
Yeah, it's raining here too. So that's a great story. So I'm curious. Imagine you've been backstage a few times, like you mentioned meeting Alice Cooper. Have any famous people come to some of your shows and wanted to say hi?
Well, luckily we were hired once when I was playing with Rock and Roll Over, the Kiss Trib. We were hired by Vinnie Paul to do a number of his private parties and stuff like that, and just random different shows around the Metroplex and stuff like that. We were performing in Fort Worth, downtown Fort Worth, and he reserved like 30 people or something like that. He reserved a bunch of people to come see us, and for the most part, this is my first time to get to play drums in front of Vinnie Paul, and Kiss has a drum solo in it. So, I went into my drum solo, and in the middle of the drum solo, all of a sudden Vinnie Paul walks up on stage and starts throwing $100 bills at me, man. Man.
That's awesome.
It threw me off my game so bad, and I stopped playing my Peter Criss solo. And then I started after that. We immediately started playing any Vinnie Paul drum licks and drum patterns I could play, just to let him know that how big of a fan I was. And he walked up there and threw another $100 bill at me.
Oh man, that's
man.
awesome.
So that was kind of the most, well, pretty much the most excited I've been in front of a different rock star. You know, recently we Back in Black.
That's great.
Recently since Back in Black, since I've been playing with them, we got to go out to California a few weeks ago and play in front of Simon Wright, one of AC/DC's original drummers.
Okay.
Oh man, so it was cool to get to perform in front of him and have him come back there and he watched us perform. And we always talk about AC/DC has a certain swing to their playing, and and stuff like that. And after the show, you know, we're kind of exchanging pleasantries and stuff like that. And because he got up and set in with us too, he played Dirty D from TNT. I didn't get to play drums on that one, so guess who was recording the videos? So I'm getting to watch this amazing drummer sit in with the band and play. And then after the show, he was like, "Yo, sounded good, mate. You sounded really good. You guys got the
man.
And he said,
awesome.
he said the words we wanted to hear. He said, "You got the swing, man." And I was like, "Oh, that was amazing, man." So we got to kind of relive that or live that fantasy out. So it was cool to get acknowledgement from your peers who were a little bit further ahead of you.
Right. No, that's fantastic. Man, the Vinnie Paul story. You mentioned Pantera, so I want to make sure listeners know that, like, Vinnie Paul, he was the brother of Dimebag Darrell Abbott, and they were the creators of Pantera out of Dallas or Arlington, Texas. World famous rock band, and also the drinkers of Jack Daniels and Coca-Cola.
Oh, Black Tooth. That was their drink, man. You know, they were always the kings to us, you know, around here. Anything that Dime and Vinny did, we wanted to do.
Absolutely.
We were, you know, I was still young and followed them everywhere. They could have put a turd out. They could have put an album out they could have put out a piece of pizza box and I'd have bought it, man. Doesn't matter. You know, they could have done anything. But yeah, they were always cool, kind of keeping the rock and roll party vibe going on and stuff like that.
Paul, that is such a cool story, man. Vinnie Paul. I met Vinnie Paul in downtown Dallas at Trees. He was just there. I was doing a meet and greet that I paid for with the famous guy, and Vinnie Paul was there, and Vinnie Paul was more fun to talk to than my meet and greet was. Like, and he was such a nice guy. Like, I'm like, Vinnie Paul, you know, he's got that black cowboy hat on and everything. High fives coming through Trees, and then the goofballs at Trees wouldn't allow me to get a picture with him because they weren't getting paid for it.
Yeah, that's sometimes, I guess, it just happens. It just depends, you know, where you're at and the people you're around and stuff like that. You know, some rock stars that they get mauled enough sometimes, and so we got to kind of give them some space to not have to take
yeah. No, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, because they constantly have to be on, you know. Imagine.
Oh, I know. Yeah. He was so cool to me. I mean, he was so freaking cool to me.
Yeah, he was a pretty cool cat, man. He was always real nice around us, you know, especially when we were kids. You know, a couple of times we would go to remote, you know, they would be doing, when they were doing Damage Plan, they were promoting the album. They would do a remote broadcast from somewhere on the radio. We would go out there and hang out. And Dimebag just kind of lean over. Hey, man, when y'all leave, follow the limo. Come on to the house. And here we are, 19 years old, getting to party with Dimebag and stuff like that.
No way.
Yeah, man, it was really cool. We walk in. It's in the, you know, if you ever seen Dimebag's house, it was just totally rock and rolled out. So we were like 19-year-old kids getting to live the fantasy, walk in, welcome us in this house, let everyone drink a little bit, have some fun, hang out for a while, and it was pretty cool. And one of my friends even tried to sneak a picture, and Don was cool. He's like, "No, can't take pictures in Michael Jackson's house, man. Can't have no pictures in here." And he was cool about that. It was just,
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool experience, man. Getting to kind of walk with the rock stars for one night. It was enough to make two or three young kids be fans for life. That's for sure.
Oh my God! So you're partying with Dimebag Daryl Abbott at his really nice house out in Arlington, right?
Yeah. It was really cool, man. Even his bathroom was all graffitied up. Everyone like wrote on the. He probably might have been having work done. Everyone could write on the walls in there in his bathroom, so it was pretty cool, man. It's pretty fun stuff, man.
Were any other famous people there that night? That you recall?
Oh gosh, man, who else was there? Man, probably see most of my cool stories were getting to sneak backstage. You know, that's another lost art that these days it just you can never tell. People are so weird, man. Getting to sneak backstage and hang out with rock stars. One of my buddies, we used to sort of print up. We would go on the internet and find different backstage passes to sneak backstage. And my boy was so crafty, he could get on a computer, make something out, print it out, laminate it, and then we would go walk up, flash it, and get backstage. But we wouldn't cause no trouble. That's the main thing. We'd kind of go back there and walk around, you know, and stuff like that, and just kind of see how it was going. Maybe, you know, just shake hands with some rock stars and leave, you know, not to cause any trouble. But there's a couple of times we damn near could have sat down and had catering and stuff, and we were like, let's not push it, man. We mostly did it just to get into the concert. That's all we would do, because we didn't have enough money to pay the cash to go see all these cool bands and stuff like that. And so we would just kind of flash it at the front gate or a side gate of the concert, and just kind of pull the badge out, and the dude would kind of see it, you know. He wouldn't be paying too much attention to it and stuff, and we just kind of flash it, and he'd say, go ahead, and we were in, and just kind of walk around, walk out to the audience and stuff like that, and just watch the show. We mainly did it just to get in the shows, but every now and then we would press our luck and see how far we could get backstage.
That's great, man.
It was pretty cool, man. We did that a number of times. Again, another cool way that musicians figure out ways to see bands they love without having to pay.
All right. Can you name one band that you did that at, where you didn't have a ticket and you created a backstage pass?
Oh man, which one? Let me see. Which one? When Black Sabbath came through, it was Black Sabbath and Megadeth and Machine Head. Oh man, and they came to DFW, and for that one we got there so early, like 6 o'clock in the evening, you know, because you know their shows, it was a weeknight and stuff like that. You know, they're not in their prime young years, so they don't want to go on at 11 o'clock at night. So the show started at like 6 o'clock. Sure. And so during Machine Head, it was so barren in the crowd. People were still filing in, you know, to see the rest of the show. So it was still kind of early. We just decided to walk downstairs and just kind of see. I wonder how far the passes will get us. And there was some slouch just sitting at the corner, you know, letting people go in and out. And we just flashed our passes and walked right by them. We walked in, and all the bands were in there eating and stuff like that. We saw all kinds of rock stars from Black Sabbath walking by and stuff like that. And we went into their catering, kind of sat down, and oh man, looked at their food and was like, are we hungry? Should we eat? And we almost did. And then we sat down, had a little fun, and was like, let's not push it. Let's go. You know, so those were the fun old days.
So was it Black Sabbath? So was that with Ozzy or Ronnie James Dio?
That was Heaven and Hell. Yeah, so that was when we saw Heaven and Hell, actually.
So it was Ronnie James Dio.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
Dio singing, man, and it pretty much at Dio was performing. We were there, man.
That's
you
great.
know, it just like I said. Even though I'm a little younger, I relived. I was the oddball in high school, man. You know, because I went to high school in the time of Limp Bizkit and Korn and stuff like that.
Right.
That was what the popular genre was, and
yeah.
You know, I walked into school with hair down the middle of my back, bracelets on both hands up to my forearms, 4 necklaces on, and my hair just flowing, trying to look as close to Sebastian Bach as possible.
Right.
I was like that because that's all I watched. You know, I was the only kid in my high school who looked like the 80s. That's how me and my best friend met up again later in high school, was because everyone thought I was just the 80s dude. They would just make fun of me. Hey, there's the 80s dude. Hey, there's the 80s dude.
Man.
Oh man. So yeah, so I kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. So I should have went to school when you guys were in school, man.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of interesting. Like so I graduated in '85 from high school, and and if you think about like when you're living the '80s, this will blow your mind. But like when I was a kid, other than Van Halen, I was more focused on like the late '60s and the '70s music. Like I was a huge like Led Zeppelin fan and a huge AC/DC fan from the '70s, and then Jimi Hendrix from the '60s. And it's just kind of interesting though, like everybody reflects on the era that they're not living. Like back in the day, like the music of the '80s that we relish in now, we call that top 40. And so like think of like Def Leppard, and you think of Rat.
It's Muzak now, man. You can hear jazz versions of it walking down the grocery store.
There you go. But we thought of it as like top 40, and like myself and my friends, when we thought of top 40, we thought top 40 sucks. You know, we were also big Who fans too. I mean, we love Who. But within the '80s, some of the bands that were standout bands for me would have been Judas Priest. Like I was a huge Judas Priest fan. And then when Ozzy broke out of Black Sabbath, I wasn't a Black Sabbath fan because they didn't really play Black Sabbath on the radio. So to listen to Black Sabbath, you needed to like have their albums. And in the '80s, it was hard to come by $7 to buy one album. And so you really had to be choosy about what you owned and what you listened personally.
Yeah. Exactly, man. Again, that's like I was saying, I went through the switch period. When I started high school, I literally had a record player, a tape player, and a CD player all at once. And I was the last generation. And then by the time I hit high school, Napster had just kicked in. And so you literally, I got to see the transition from records and tapes to CDs all the way to the digital way now. Now it's into streaming and stuff like that. So it's kind of funny, That's why I tell everyone, I was like, I landed right in the middle, man. I still have old classic roots in me, and then I somewhat modernized.
Yeah. No, kids can't relate. We probably better wrap. Kids can't really relate, Paul, because like when I was a kid, and same when you were a kid, like you didn't have a lot of extra money. So if you wanted to own like Houses of the Holy, there would be a radio station where I grew up in Kansas City, and they would say, okay, Saturday night at midnight, we're going to play side 2 of Houses of the Holy. And so midnight on a Saturday night, you would go home and you'd wait for it to come on, and then you'd press record on your cassette player so that you could tape it as it was playing on the radio.
That's what I would do too. See what I'm saying? It's like that was the thing. Every generation had their way of, getting music out and stuff like that. And that's how we used to do it too, man. It's funny, man, getting to see the evolution of mankind through the eyes of a musician.
Yes, man, we just kind of touched on things, but man, dude, you got some funny stories.
Well, I hope that.
Host, and now I'll promote my business. John Sales Warrior, and I've been professionally selling for 32 years. And I know over that time period, it can be difficult to stay motivated. You have to stay motivated come Monday morning. And that Monday morning, you need to be able to send emails, make phone calls, make the follow-up phone calls, and schedule the appointments. But more importantly, be relaxed and ask for the business and believe that you're going to get the business when you ask for it. And that little bit of time between taking action and not taking action, that's what I help with. I help with giving you the fire so you can take action. And by taking more action, you can get more results. That's what I help people do. How do I do it? Simple. I have a book on Amazon. It's called Sales Warrior. And I have a course on Teachable. It's called Sales Warrior Bootcamp Module 1. And it's a 3-day boot camp. It's a lot of fun. It includes instruction, inspiration, audio, video, and worksheets. And it's designed to be taken in 1-hour action blocks, because I know it's hard for people to take 3 days to learn all my wisdom. So I made it easy. All you do is take 1 hour each day until you've completed my course. It's foundational in nature, and it can be taken over and over. The great thing about my course is that once you sign up for my course, you get monthly information and inspiration from me, because I want to stay connected to you and I want to continue to inspire you. And there's no added cost to do that. Now, right now, I have my Sales Warrior Bootcamp on sale. My Sales Warrior Bootcamp is normally $3.99. I have it on special for $49. And with it, you get my book for free. That's it. I love the fact that you created your own backstage passes and your friend went online to create them.
I love it, man. I love it, dude. But yeah, dude, I love being on here, man. Anytime you need me to come on and talk some fun stuff, dude, I'd love to, man.
Oh, all right, everybody. What a great episode we had today with Paul Brown here out of Dallas on Schools Out 80s Comedy Story Time. Paul, great to have you on the show. Man,
my pleasure, buddy.
Awesome, man. Your story's phenomenal. I mean, I couldn't make up better stories than the true ones you told today.
I know. Only the names have been left out to protect the innocent.
There you go. There you go. What anybody going to jail on the aftermath?
There it is. There it is. All right, my brother. Well, I appreciate you guys. Y'all be good, man. We'll see you soon.
Hey, you got it, Paul. Have a great one, sir. Adios.
All right, buddy.
All right, man. Cheers, everybody.
Sweet.